Hello and welcome to the 2025 ARWS Yamanaka-Ko Grand Prix from the Fuji Speedway. On pole today, in his second ARWS appearance, it is Michael McManus. A fantastic performance from him in qualifying after narrowly avoiding a concussion at the German Grand Prix, the previous outing. Despite that, McManus took fastest lap on his debut and has immediately followed that up with his first career pole position. So we'll see if the Scottish driver can continue his sensational debut in ARWS alongside him. On the front row, it is our championship leader, Edvard Holm, of course, the winner last time out at the Lausitz Ring, and he currently holds a 23-point advantage in the championship with this race and two more still to go in the championship. On the second row of the grid, we've got Philippe Nicolas after a crushing retirement in the previous race. He'll be definitely looking to rebound and hopefully at least finish off the season strongly after a pretty disappointing mid-season stretch for the Frenchman. He'll be sharing that second row with Ben Fleet for Foxdale, who's found a little something in qualifying trim here. Hopefully this will be a sign of Fleet finding his feet again. On the third row, we've got Final Watson in the second Simpson here, performing a good job of at least in terms of being a rear gunner for Holm. He'll probably be looking to at least score potentially a podium here and fend off De Bock. Fend off De Bock to help protect Holm's championship lead, and of course score some good points for Simpson in the Constructors Championship. They are currently about 52 points back, so it is a little bit far-fetched for them, but they could still potentially defend their Constructors Championship. Alongside Watson, it is Martin McFry, who will not make it 3 consecutive poles here, but he did dominate the previous 2 races at Sepang and Lausitz Ring before unfortunate mechanical retirements, and will very much be hoping to bring home a very strong result here today to make up for those retirements. Marco Joncher, after finishing second and leading the German Grand Prix for much of the second half of the race following McFry's retirement, will be starting 7th here alongside 2018 ARWS champion Terry Hawkin. Of course, rounded out the podium last time out, so they'll be looking to move forward here. Tomo Kazuma in front of her home crowd will be starting 9th. A little bit of a disappointing qualifying for Kazuma. She'll be also hoping to move forward. And alongside her is Bradley Dagnall, starting 10th, which means the 6th row of the grid is going to be both of the Cascadia's pacer. In fact, out-qualifying De Bock. It was not a good effort for Yaël de Bock in qualifying. Perhaps the pressure of the championship challenge getting a little too much for the rookie, although perhaps maybe he just couldn't quite find the setup. In any case, he's got some work to do to continue to make up ground on championship leader Holm. We've got both of the Joneses on row 7. Katie May out-qualifying teammate Nathaniel Cameron as they hope to rebound from the very disappointing double DNF last time out. Naoki Shinjo will be starting 15th in front of his home crowd and hoping to salvage something for Mecca in Honda's, of course, home race here. Amy Gauthier will be starting 16th, out-qualifying her teammate Václav Malish, as the Checkmate squad are still very much in the fight for the Constructors Championship. They're currently 4th, about 33 points out. For the records, it is Holiday leading by 25 points from Cascadia, with Euromotor in 3rd, incredibly, after 2 consecutive last place finishes in the Constructors. Amani Burrell will be starting 18th. A little bit of a disappointing qualifying session for Burrell. She'll be hoping to rectify that in the race. Malik Zidane and Aki Yamamura, a pair of drivers who've really not had a good time of it this season, sharing row 10. Pierre Saint Laurent not doing his chances of retaining that seat too many favors here, starting 21st, although he did at least outqualify his reigning champion teammate Takuma Taki. Alberto Kara will be starting 22nd. Aurora Summers in 23rd. The aforementioned Taki down in 24th. That is very disappointing qualifying for Taki. He'll be shaking his head at that one, I'm sure. Riley Griffith will be starting in 25th place, and last driver on the grid, it is the debutante Li Kexing for Yang Wang, replacing Fu Wen as Yang Wang evaluate their young talent for a potential drive next season. And with that, the start of the race is just moments away. And it is raining here in the Fuji Speedway, very close to Mount Fuji. Engines fired as we await the start of this race. All the cars on intermediate tires, and McManus with a decent launch, but it is Philippe Nicolas with a best launch of all. But McManus holds it around the outside and maintains the lead. Great launch from Terry Hawken. Fleet holds 4 from McFry. Watson, De Bock, Yoncher, Holm down to 9th. We've got some yellow flags at the first corner, so it could be that there was a bit of an incident in the braking zone here under these wet conditions. Ooh, Li Kexing there, misjudging his braking point, and there are several cars that are out as a result of that. We'll take another look there. Oh, that was a terrible launch. A lot of wheel spin from Edvard Holm on that launch. As we see... Ooh, yeah, it was, Aki Yamamura, I think, having a bit of an issue. Breaking it down into turn 1. Oh, goodness, yes, that was, well, that wasn't so much Yamamura, that was, Saint Laurent. Just catching Yamamura out by mistake, and that caused a bit of collisions there. There's issues for Burrell. There's, I think that is Malish also in trouble. And, yeah, not exactly sure what happened there to Burrell. Ooh, that was a big hit for Gautier. Pacer with terrible luck on this start. He gets hanging up around the outside here. Yeah, I think that is Kexing there driving into the back of a few of those cars, causing the retirements for Malish there, as well as Burrell. Aurora Summers and Katie May also out, so it is going to be another retirement for Katie May. But up front, it is Michael McManus leading from the pole position. Philippe Nicolas not able to convert his fantastic start into a race lead, as he's now coming under threat from Terry Hawken for second place. Fleet and McFry 4th and 5th. Watson, De Bock. Great start for Yaël de Bock. He's made up for that poor qualifying very quickly. Is home that wheel spin on the start. Really not what the Dane wanted to hang on to his championship lead, but he's not too far behind his main title rival here. So he won't be losing too many more points. He was probably hoping to extend that lead, however. Is McManus leading lap 1. Is close for second place with Nicola coming under threat from Hawken and Fleet. Fleet having a bit of a lock up there in turn 1. As the mechas are battling for 12 here, it is Naoki Shinjo getting back ahead of Malik Zidane. So great start from Malik Zidane up into 13th place. Amy Gauthier now from Pierre Saint-Laurent as Gary Pacer tries to make up for his very poor start here. This is not what the Canadian needed after. Oh my goodness, and he's just fallen straight off the track. And Gary Pacer has completely thrown away his race. Chasing down Pierre Saint-Laurent, who is one of the drivers rumored to be potentially taking the seat from Pacer. Pacer, after out-qualifying his teammate, very poor start, lost a lot of track position, and then just fell off in the wet here, in the spray, right behind the one man he probably would want to finish behind least of anyone. McManus is continuing to extend that lead. It is a great start for McManus here as Nicola holds on to second from Hawken and Fleet. Final Watson has taken 5th from McFry. He's got that done heading into the Dunlop chicane here. De Bock still in close proximity to these two with Yontra and Holm not too far behind either. Kozma is running 10th from Dagnall. Then it's, of course, Shijo with Zidane, Gauthier, Pierre Saint-Laurent, Nathaniel Cameron. Poor start for Cameron into 16, but at least he's still running in this race. That's more than you can say for his teammate. Takuma Taki's done something to, has managed to recover some of those lost positions. Is up to 17th as Michael McManus sets the fastest lap of the race. I think this is Cameron lining up a move on Saint-Laurent for 15th. As we see Yontra and De Bock battling for 7th a little further up the field. Saint-Laurent not able to get the move done. Jones just a little too quick in the straight line. Griffith is 18th from Kara. And last car running without any issues is Li Kexing in 20th. Aki Yamamura is still running, of course, but had to pit to repair that broken front wing from the first lap incident. You see Fleet here still hassling Hawken for 3rd place. This was a good start for Ben Fleet. It's something he needs to really relight his confidence. It has not been a very good season for Ben Fleet. Generally has been outpaced by his teammate Martin McFry, and even in the few occasions where he has had a good run, he's really not been able to have the reliability to finish the race. So it seems that Yontra has... Actually, yeah, no, Yontra, I think, got around De Bock into turn 1, and Yontra now pressuring McFry for 6th place as Edvard Holm is looking to get back ahead of his title rival, Yaël de Bock. Yontra unable to complete the move, but Holm is. So Holm takes 8th place from Yaël de Bock. As Dagnall has gotten around Tomo Kozma, so Kozma struggling a little bit here in front of her home fans. As Cameron has gotten around Saint-Laurent now. McManus's lead now over 3 seconds. He is really flourishing in these wet conditions. Fleet has another go here at Terry Hawken, not able to squeeze up the inside of the Scorpio driver though. So Nicola in his previous lap ran a 1:23.4. McManus's previous lap with 1:22.7. It could be the fact that Michael McManus is running on a lower fuel load than Nicola and the other cars behind him. the field, there is a fairly even split in terms of strategy here, as Fleet has another go at Hawkin here, and Edvard Holm gets around Martin McFry. There are issues for Martin McFry. He's lost another couple of positions here. Yontra's also gotten around the Foxdale driver. We'll have to keep an eye on McFry and see if there's perhaps a nagging issue there at that Foxdale's car. Is now having a look at the back of Riley Griffith's peak. But in terms of pit strategy, we are expecting either a 2 or 3 stop race. Most cars favoring the 3 stop strategies. Fleet now has another go up the inside of Hawkin. Fleet feeling very racy in that Foxdale, unlike his teammate, but not quite able to make the move stick on Hawkin as of yet. 3 stop strategy, slightly preferred, as I just said. The window for that opening up about lap 12, with the window for the 2 stop opening up about lap 25. Martin McFry still continued to lose a lot of time here. Yaël de Bock trying to get in range to attack the Foxdale. And, oh my goodness, Bradley Dagnall has made contact with Yaël de Bock and broken his front wing. Oh goodness, and that's... I mean, it could have been worse for Yaël de Bock, but now he's stuck behind Bradley Dagnall. And he finally allows the championship contender through, but Bradley Dagnall, what was he thinking? Last minute dive up the inside of the Cascadia. Completely shattered the front nose cone of the Euromotor, and then, for good measure, just gets in the way. So I think the stewards will be taking a very dim view of that bit of driving from Bradley Dagnall. As we see Alberto Cara looking up the inside of Bradley Griffith. What on earth was Cara doing there? Hang on, we'll have to have another look at that. That was entirely unnecessary from the Tropican racer. He's got the inside line, he gets on the braking, and I think he just locked up his tires there in the braking zone and forced Riley Griffith off the track. Fortunately, neither driver damaged their car in that, but I think Griffith won't be particularly impressed with Cara after the race. Nicolas managed to open up a little bit of a gap now over Hawkin, who's still fending off the pressure from Ben Fleet, but he's now nearly 5 full seconds behind Michael McManus, who is loving life in the lead here. Edvard Holm is caught up to the rear of Marco Jantscher. Not sure if he'll be able to make a move on the Euromotor here, but doing something to make up for that poor getaway off the line. As De Bock now is looking to make up for his issues with the contact with Dagnall. Dagnall coming into the pits to get the front wing replaced. That's not what Euromotor needs if they want to improbably win this Constructors Championship. Having another go up the inside of Hawkin, but he just can't get quite close enough in the braking zone there to the Scorpio driver, as is Kashing just coming out ahead of Dagnall. So Li Kashing having not a great time in his ARWS debut, has shown a bit of talent, but might not quite be ready for a full-time seat in ARWS, but he's gaining valuable track and car experience, which certainly can't hurt him. Holm in the tow of Yauncher, looking to make a move here for 6th place. He's got a little bit of a run on the Euromotor. Can he pull out? No, not quite close enough to send it up the inside there. Meanwhile, the rest of the field is starting to spread out quite a bit already. Kara is not that far behind Takuma Taki, in fact. In fact, he was 6/10 quicker than the Bentley driver. Is there something wrong with the Bentleys around the circuit? Because they just do not seem to have any pace whatsoever. Both of them being outrun by Kara on that previous lap. In fact, Riley Griffith also having similar pace to the Bentley duo. Oh my goodness. And I mean, it's entirely too predictable at this stage, but Naoki Shinjo's race has come to a premature end. Suspension failure there through, I believe, 100R, and oh, that is probably not the best place you could be parking that car, but I don't think Shinjo has much choice. He does eventually get it out of the racing line, but gosh, he's just, I think it's only 2 races he's been able to finish this season that is desperately dismal, as Cameron there has, I believe, taken advantage of Gauthier having to slow up for the stricken Necky here. They got a much better run out of that corner, and Cameron is going to send it up the inside here into the Dunlop chicane and take over 12th place. Alberto Carr is out! Alberto Carr's transmission has broken on him! Oh dear! The normally bulletproof Yangwang is failed Kara. That's usually if the car breaks down, it's the other one, and not Kara's. But this time, evidently, I can't remember. That might be the first time Kara's ever had a mechanical retirement since he's switched to Yangwang at the start of last season. In case his race is also at a premature end, as we see Fleet here still all over the back of Terry Hawkins, still trying to find a way by the Scorpio. They're now 9 seconds off the lead of Hawkins' teammate, Michael McManus. And Fleet still, evidently, still not quite close enough to complete that move on Hawkins. Yauncher also under a bit of pressure here, still from Edvard Holm. The Euromotor a bit quicker coming out of the final corner here, but down the main straightaway, Holm taking advantage of the slipstream. I think he might have enough of a run to make the move stick this time, and Edvard Holm will take over 6th place as Yaël de Bock is caught back up to Martin McFry, but not close enough yet to McFry to make an attempt at reclaiming 8th place. Bunny might try and slip it up the inside there, but probably best to try and get a run here into the Dunlop chicane, as Fleet still not able to find a way past Hawkin, and De Bock still not quite comfortable enough in these conditions to risk making a move on McFry. He'll want to get past the Foxtail before too long, though, because, of course, Holm's now 3 positions ahead of him, and De Bock not in a position where he wants to be giving away any points to the Danish driver. As I think the final Watson might be having a little bit of a run here at Ben Fleet, potentially. No, Fleet is taking advantage of the slipstream off of not McManus, off of Hawken to defend the position. And De Bock, yeah, not quite quick enough out of that final corner to have a good run at Prix either. Looks like Edvard Holm is actually catching up to this battle for second place, so despite the very dismal getaway, it might not cost Holm all that much in the grand scheme of things. Of course, they will have to find a way past some of these cars somewhere in the course of this race, but he's not losing the track position he might have been fearing with that very poor getaway off the line. As McManus is continuing to stretch his lead. Wait for Nicola to cross the line just to get the most up-to-date reading. It's nearly 10 full seconds by McManus that he's put on Nicola. If he's running a free-stop strategy as Holm here tries to find a way past Watson. Watson not playing the team game here today. He wants to make a statement that he's a driver to be taken seriously, not a number 2. But going back to McManus for a second, if he's trying to make a free-stop strategy work, and if Nicola is on the 2-stop strategy, then McManus is doing what he needs to in order to build the kind of advantage over this full race to afford that extra pit stop. I think Yaël de Bock is very close to the back of McFry. This might be a shot that de Bock takes at the inside, but chooses not to. And I don't think de Bock is entirely comfortable in these conditions with the car set up the way it is. Of course, perhaps they still have some setup concerns at Team Cascadia. De Bock, of course, qualifying an uncharacteristically low 12 from what we've come to expect from the Belgian in the course of his rookie season, as we see Li Kexing and Aki Yamamoto battling for 18th, not really much of a fight that Kexing can put up with the underpowered Yang Wang, as Holm now makes the move stick on his teammate, Fighter Watson, the British-Polish driver. He will want to put up a fight against his teammate when he can, but he won't fight a lost cause, as you can see, and Holm will take over 5th place, and it's becoming ever more important for de Bock to try and find a way past McFry, even with his misgivings potentially about the car's handling in this race. As we see Bradley Dagnall now fighting his way through the Bentleys, recovering after breaking his front wing, and yeah, I am hearing word that the stewards will be putting Dagnall under investigation after the race for that contact with Yaël de Bock at the first corner. Hawken now coming up to put a lap on Kexing. Hawken, what happened to Terry Hawken? It's like he lifted down the straight after getting around Kashing. He did. Maybe he tried to swerve in front of the Yonglong driver, as if he was a little miffed that that he held up Hawken, but that did cost Hawken a position to Ben Fleet. Although Hawken very quickly takes that place back, but that was a little confusing from the Brit there. You still see De Bock not really in attacking range of McFry anymore. Yamamura has pitted. So I believe Yamamura effectively now on a 4-stop strategy, which is an interesting strategy call from the Adriatica team. I'm not sure what they're cooking here. Lisa Don continuing to hold on to 11th place from Cameron and Gautier. Bradley Dagnall recovered to 14th, but he'll probably quickly catch the W12s ahead of him. Salaron still pacing ahead of Taki, and Riley Griffith not terribly far behind the Bentleys either. You still see the Hawken train in full force, although to be fair, Hawken is not terribly far behind Nicola either. The Holiday driver only about 2 seconds ahead of Hawken. And Watson trying to have a go here, retaking 5th place from his title leading teammate, in fact, Edvard Holm. But again, he's not going to press the issue too strongly at this stage of the race, and considering I don't know where I was going with that. Meanwhile, Tomo Kazuma has been quietly dropping off the back of the rest of the I-Freeze. I think, oh goodness, I think Ben Fleet has actually made the move stick on Terry Hawken. Probably the best race Ben Fleet's run this season already. Definitely showing a lot more pace than what we've been accustomed to seeing from the man who's married to one of the team bosses. Probably very much wanting to prove that his podium at New Orleans wasn't a fluke, is Ben Fleet, as he's taken over for a place here entirely on merit, and Hawken now having to fend off both of the Simpson drivers. Holm must be fancying his chances of taking 4th place here. Indeed, he's got a bit of a run here on Hawken. Comes in for a little bit more of a slipstream, and Holm will take over 4th place. So Hawken going backwards here. I think perhaps the tires are running a little bit worn down at this stage for Hawken, as Yaël de Bock has made his first pit stop of the race. They'll be hoping that what comes out ahead of this bit of traffic here, ahead of the likes of, I'm not sure he's going to get ahead of Yamamura, but Yamamura is a lap down. And in fact, yeah, I'm not sure they've timed this perfectly, because there goes Malik Zidane through. So De Bock here in a little bit of traffic here, not what the Belgian would be wanting to deal with. Bradley Dagnall also pitting, so Dagnall also effectively on a 4-stop strategy. McManus has extended his race lead to 13 seconds. If he's going deep into the free stop window here, that's going to make his chances of converting a free stop strategy to a win ever more doable, as Ben Fleet pits. So Fleet very much on the free stop strategy as well here. I think this pit timing will work out a little better for him than it did for Yaël de Bock. We wait for, I think this will be Tomakazma coming through. But the Fleet will have quite a bit of clear racetrack to work with. Put in some quick lap times and potentially maintain his third place. In fact, if not, jump ahead of Nicola, as we see de Bock retaking 10th place from Zidane here. As we see now, Edvard Holm is actually closing the gap between himself and Philippe Nicola, and Riley Griffiths is in the pits, as is Takuma Taki. Michael McManus still out on track, still running very quick lap times here at the front of this field. As we wait to see if any other leaders come into the pits, not on this lap. And McManus's lead now nearly 15 seconds. He is absolutely flying at front of this field. The reigning AR 3000 champion doing everything to show that it is him and not Yaël de Bock that was the class of the field of that season. It very much is also putting the pressure on Terry Hawken, who looking to break back into the ARWS ranks. Probably won't be too pleased at the fact that he's currently 18 seconds behind his rookie teammate. Perhaps that just goes to highlight how much of a talent McManus truly is. As we see Yaël de Bock here lapping past Aki Yamamura. McManus coming through to complete another lap here. Number 124.1 for our race leader. So Edvard Holm has now very much closed up on the pack of Philippe Nicola, and that is probably because he's just about out of fuel and is on a 3-stop strategy. So Edvard Holm will be very much hoping that the Simpson pit crew here get him a very quick stop and potentially jump him ahead of Ben Fleet. You see Ben Fleet here is negotiating the lap car of Li Kexing. So could the Foxdale driver have lost a little bit of track time, track position in all of that? I think it might be the case that Holm has done enough. It's going to be very close as we see Fleet just coming through here now, side by side into turn 1, and Fleet only just gets ahead of Edvard Holm. Not an ideal position for these two to be in on the free-stop strategy, and also losing a lot of track position to McManus, who's presumably must be on the free-stop strategy as well, but for Holmes' purposes, his main competition is still right behind him, Yaël de Bock here. So if Holm can get back around Ben Fleet here in short order, he's still got a comfortable position over his main title rival. You see Watson and Yoncher continue to battle for 4th place here. McManus has extended that lead now to 16 seconds over Philippe Nicola. It's been very rare over the past couple seasons that we've seen anybody have such a massive pace advantage over Nicola. Usually Nicola's been one of the quickest, if not the quickest, as Holm has in fact made the move stick on Ben Fleet here. Good run down the main straightaway here. and pulls a fake there a little bit on Fleet, similar to how he got around Terry Hawkin, I believe. So Holm now up into 8th place on the racetrack, still waiting for a few cars ahead to pit. Still, potentially, some of these drivers might be on a pre-stop strategy and are going quite late into the pit window here. McManus, though, is definitely going very late into the pre-stop strategy. Surely he can't be on a two-stop strategy, not with the pace he's been able to display early in this race. And Yamamura's race is over in the meantime, so it's a double DNF for Adriatica at the end of things. Yamamura and their disappointing season does not get any better here in front of their home crowd. So that is another car out early in this one, and we're already down to 18 cars running in this race. Still 50 laps to go here. Yaël de Bock currently about 8 seconds behind Edvard Holm, who's already put 2 seconds on Ben Fleet. Still waiting for Michael McManus to make that first pit stop. He's not going to do it on this lap, Jesus. McManus is absolutely flying in this race. You can't put this kind of pace just at this stage. You can't put all that pace down to just the fact that he's on a free-stop strategy. If he even is at this point, he's got so much more pace than Philippe Nicolas. 125.1 as we see Yontra pull into the pits here. Yeah, 125.1 for Nicolas. On that previous lap, McManus put in a 124.4. So 5/6 a lap quicker is McManus than the person who's been second basically the whole race. We see Yontra coming through the pits now, all going through. Fleet will come through now to move back up into 8th place. Yaël de Bock coming through, and he will jump ahead of Yontra. And so Yontra, another driver on the free stop strategy, and it seems going late into this pit window for Yontra. Didn't quite work out for the Austrian. Zidane is now pitting, so Zidane also on the free stopper. McManus still not pitting. Still lapping absolutely brilliantly here is Michael McManus. I mean, what can you say? He's got so much pace in that car. I guess at this stage you can say that McManus right now is really justifying the decision by Scorpio to sack both their drivers. As Hawkin there and Watson both held up as Zidane comes out of the pits here. Holm is quickly closing the gap on Tomo Costa, so even if Cosmo is on a two-stop strategy here, I don't think she'll be able to do much to fend off Holm and some of the other drivers closing in behind her, although maybe that's just down to the fact that Holm is also lapping extremely quickly right now. well, he's probably the quickest car on the circuit, thanks to those fresh tires. Not really reaching the level, the pace so far of that McManus is able to been put in on earlier in his stint, but although actually no, Holm has actually put in the fastest lap of this race. I didn't even notice that, but yeah, no, Edvard Holm now has the fastest lap of the race. McManus still hasn't pitted. If he doesn't pit this lap, he has to be on the 2-stop strategy. And he's got 19 seconds on Philippe Nicolas. This is absolutely sensational driving from Michael McManus. Yes, I think, actually, Marco Janter there must have missed that happening, but Janter's now made a move past Yaël de Bock, who, for whatever reason, is not finding his feet around the Fuji Speedway here today, this weekend, at all. And, yeah, another lap's going through, and McManus still hasn't pitted, so... Incredibly, despite the fact that he's miles quicker than anybody else on the track, McManus is on a 2-stop strategy. As is, Philippe Nicolas, Terry Hawkin, Final Watson, and Martin McFly, and Tomo Kazuma. The block is really struggling. A 125 on pressure tires and quite a lot of drivers on the track is not really what you'd expect from the block. In fact, it was slower than McManus' previous lap, and McManus has been on those tires since the start of the race. So McManus will have to pit in the next 4 or 5 laps here, surely. You can see Zidane coming past Pierre Saint-Laurent. Saint-Laurent hasn't pitted yet, I don't believe. Zidane able to outbrake the Bentley into turn 1, and he will take 14th. Meanwhile, Edvard Holm is coming for 6th place against Tomo Kazuma. Kazuma going very late on the brakes there. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of smoke coming out of the back of the Simpson. Oh no, Edvard Holm's developed an engine issue on Simpson. This is the last thing he needed. And it's really... this could be a major saving grace for Yaël de Bock, who has really not had any of the pace you'd expect of him. But Edvard Holm, I don't think, is going to be able to finish this race. And nope, the car has completely cut out on him. Slides a little bit on his own oils. Ooh, comes right back out in the middle, right on the racing line there. He's trying to pull it out of the way. But the cleanup crews will take care of that car. And Holm here it looked really good for him after qualifying yesterday, starting on the front row with Yaël de Bock starting 12th, but that is the nature of ARWS competition. You have to finish these races in order to score the big points you need. Holm here is going to be looking at an 18th place finish, so that will be 16 points from this race. If he hangs on to the fastest lap, that might be his major saving grace. As of yet, I don't think anybody is particularly close to that. I think the only person who might take the fastest lap off of him is McManus. We'll have to keep an eye on McManus's times after his pit stop here. Is indeed Michael McManus ducks into the pits. It's been a sensational opening stint from Michael McManus in just his second ARWS race. He won't be able to match the mark of his title rival from last season, Yaël de Bock, but McManus doing everything he can to at least potentially win in his second start ever. Philippe Nicolas will inherit the lead, but it's a pretty solid stop from the Scorpio crew. They'll probably release him back into 5th place behind a lot of cars which are due to pit anyway in pretty short order here. So McManus in a very strong position in this race. So in terms of the championship, with Holm set to only receive the points for 18th, as McManus is already all over the back of Martin McFry for 4th place. I think before we do the title calculations, we'll want to see if McManus could potentially do something about that fastest lap that Holm has. What's not going to help him is being stuck behind this young one to potentially, before that run into start the come down the main straightaway, I should say, to start the lap. But if he could get a slipstream off of Fry, that could be a bit of a help. I don't think he's quite close enough to do it, though. Yeah, he's not really particularly close to the Foxtail driver, is McManus. But we'll stay on board with him for this lap, see what kind of lap time he can put in here. Definitely quicker than McFry through the corners here, but he's going to get held up a little bit coming into the hairpin here. Have to make this move absolutely flawlessly. Can't quite find a way past the Foxtail, so this is not really going to be challenging Holm's fastest lap, I don't believe. If he can get a run to start the next lap, and perhaps then that might do something about Holm's fastest lap. Scorpio very much in the middle of the pack in terms of the Constructors Championship, so every point they can get counts. As we see car ahead duck into the pits, it is final Watson, and there's an engine issue with Watson. Perhaps that's why they've called him in at this moment in the race, but Watson, we'll see if they can fix the issues on his car. I believe they can. Perhaps there's a little bit of a how should I say, information being shared between Cascadia and Simpson's pacer had a similar issue, I believe, earlier in the season, and yeah, they both use the same Ford engines, although Cascadia's, Simpsons, of course, are rebadged to Jetstars. McManus still cannot find a way past Martin McFry here, and his previous lap was 2 seconds off his quickest of the race. A lot closer to McFry's start this lap, though. Terry Hawkin is now pitting from second place. McFry putting up a fight down the main straightaway, and McManus will get the job done into turn 1. So McManus back up into second place, still about 13 seconds behind Philippe Nicola, but Nicola will be due to pit any lap now. As we see Tomo Kazuma also making very first pit stop of the race. So De Bock is now up into 6th place on the racetrack. But of course he still has to make one more pit stop, then a fair few cars behind him. So we'll see here what kind of lap time Michael McManus can do now that he has clear track. Nathaniel Cameron making his first pit stop here. I believe McManus will actually take the race lead here because Nicola is pitting, as is Martin McFry. McManus not able to set a personal best, but if he potentially could find a little bit more time on this lap. So Yoncher now is in second place, but is due to make a pit stop pretty soon. He's on the free stop strategy, as is Ben Fleet. Yaël de Bock now down in 4th. Terry Hawkin has jumped past Philippe Nicola, so the undercut on the tires for Hawkin playing dividends here. And Nicola down in 6th place. Can he find a way back past the Scorpio driver? Right now we do need to see if McManus can make a challenge at Edvard Holm's fastest lap. Gautier now pitting from 11th place. I think if McManus can't break that fastest lap, and he cannot, in fact, he's slower than that previous lap. So, in terms of the championship, Holm is looking at a potentially 36 points. So that wouldn't be too bad, even if De Bock finishes where he is now, which is 4th, which is probably not where he's going to finish, given he still needs to make an extra pit stop more than Hawkin, Nicola, Watson, McFry, and Kazuma. Though I think he could still finish ahead of Kazuma on the road. So it might actually work out to very close to a draw in terms of points between De Bock and Holm, which might not be the worst thing for De Bock, considering he's really not had the pace we've been accustomed to seeing from the Belgian. But he definitely would be wanting to gain some ground, because he's only got 2 more races to close this 23-point gap to Holm after this race. Yes, for those of you joining a bit later, we did have a bit of a chaotic start to this race with contact in the rear of the field between the likes of I think Li Kexing missed the braking point into turn 1 on the in the wet here at Fuji Speedway, and it brought out and it ended the races of Imani Burrell, Katie May, Roar Summers, and Václav Malish on the very first lap of the race. Gary Pacer shortly afterwards, after a pretty poor getaway, trying to find his way back around, I believe it was Pierre Saint-Laurent, just threw the car off the track and crashed out on, I think, the third lap. Alberto Cara, Naoki Shinjo, Aki Yamamura, and Edvard Holm have all had mechanical retirements. So we're down to 17 cars still running. Michael McManus is our race leader. And while I've been doing that, Philippe Nicola has taken over 4th place from Terry Hawken, as they try to find their way around the lap car of Nathaniel Cameron here. Both these cars passing to Bock, who's on a free-stop strategy and has really been struggling for pace basically all race. That is not the story for Michael McManus, who has been sensationally quick after scoring his first career pole position. Almost lost the lead into turn 1 to Philippe Nicola, did McManus. But he hung it around the outside of the first corner, and since then, basically nobody's been able to do anything about him. He's been sensationally quick in this race. So the big question here is the battle for positions second on back. Marco Jancher and Ben Fleet and Yaël de Bock on the free-stop strategy. Nicola, Hawken, Watson, McFry, and Cosma on the 2-stop strategy. And Bradley Dagnall, who knows what he's doing. He made contact with Yaël de Bock earlier in this race, which might have caused a little bit of aerodynamic damage on the Cascadia, so that could be what's causing some of the Bock's woes. But he did qualify only 12th to start this race, which is simply put, really not what we expect to see out of Yaël de Bock, given how well he's been doing in his rookie season, as Marco Jancher makes his second pit stop of the race, so opening up the second pit stop window for the free stop strategy enjoyers in this race. So Jancher will return to the track here. Not sure if he'll be able to come out ahead of Tomo Cosma. I don't believe so. Indeed, the holiday goes right past the Euromotor. He's still in the pit lane. So Jancher back down to 9th place. Bradley Dagnall, yeah, I do believe I did mention the contact between Dagnall and de Bock. Dagnall under investigation post-race for his role in that contact, even though it effectively forced him to make an extra pit stop, and he was already on the free stop strategy, so he's now doing 4 pit stops in this race. As for the W12s, Malik Vagon is currently in 11th, having a pretty strong run, but he is on the free stop strategy, so I think currently leading that battle, it's basically between Cameron and Gauthier. We have both of the Bentleys still running, but having basically no pace all weekend. Solaron and Takumataki. In fact, they're not terribly far ahead of Riley Griffith in the peak. And Li Kexing has just been making laps here. He's the Chinese rookie, just gaining some seat time here. I don't think he's really ready for a full-time ARWS drive. Certainly not in terms of the pace he's been showing today. So McManus's lead is now 25.2 seconds. And that's over Ben Fleet. Philippe Nicola on the same strategy as McManus is 27 seconds behind. And that just goes to underline how sensationally quick Michael McManus has been in this race. Oh, good. Tomo Cosma! Tomo Cosma's electrical issue! And she's not going to get that back to the pits, and that is race done for Cosma. And, oh dear. That is, not going to help, Holiday in their quest for the Constructors Championship. Of course, they still do have Nicola on course for a strong second place. As he's all over the back of Ben Fleet, and Fleet still has to make one extra pit stop more than Nicola does at this stage of the race. That said, Cascade, their closest rivals are in the constructors are Cascadia, who already have one car out of the race, and De Bock's not running terribly well either. Euromotor, who Yoncher isn't really troubling Nicola, and Diagonal is just doing whatever he does, I guess. And there's Checkmate, and Malish had to retire on the first lap, of course, with the crash damage. So, Holiday should still retain the Constructors' Championship lead, assuming Nicola does finish this race. As he's looking for a move on Ben Fleet. Puts a couple of fakes there down the main straightaway. I'm not entirely sure that was necessary. He's outbraking the Foxtail very easily there into the first hairpin. And Fleet repays the favor by blocking Hawken for Nicola. Of course, Fleet not under any obligation to allow Hawken here through, but they're not really racing for rate positions at the end of this one. Hawken and Watson behind him on the same strategy as Fleet Nicola. And Hawken gets past Fleet into third place, and next up it is Final Watson to find a way around the Foxtail driver. So now that Nicola has gotten around Fleet into second place, the gap between him and McManus is a staggering 28 seconds. Final Watson here trying to find a way around Fleet, and up stop to at the end of the straight. Yaël de Bock is not terribly far behind them either, so De Bock could still catch up to Fleet and take the position. Meanwhile, what could you say about Michael McManus? He's just been metronomically quick at the front of the field, as we've got, that is Riley Griffith making a pit stop here. Watson having another look at taking that 4th place from Ben Fleet. But again, opts not to. We've also got Yaël de Bock actually making his 2nd pit stop of the race. So he'll drop back down to 8th place behind Yoncher. Watson here having another look up the inside of Ben Fleet, and this time he's going to use the young one of Kashing as a pick, and Watson gets the move done now on Fleet and takes 4th place. And now Watson, now that he's got that move done, he has to find a way around the young one, does so. But that was probably a little bit of a scary moment for Watson after all that work getting around Fleet, almost throwing it away, trying to lap past the car he used to take that place in the first place. And right on cue, Ben Fleet pits anyway. That's just Malik Sedan. Fleet potentially, I think, here covering off any potential challenge from Yaël de Bock, who's just coming around the end of the lap now as Fleet is released from the pits. I think Fleet will very comfortably hang on to this 7th place here. There's no real risk of a challenge imminently from Yaël de Bock, who, at least for de Bock's purposes, won't have to deal with the lapped car of Sedan. We've got Dagdal making a pit stop. Manus is still flying away at the front of the field, although he stopped really expanding that lead over Nicola. I suppose the team probably called him on the radio and said, look, you've got this race in the bag, you don't need to push that hard. Hockey is pitting. And plus, there's also the fact that Nicola really is probably going to be more concerned with fending off Terry Hawkins for 2nd than trying to chase down that mammoth 28-second gap to McManus in the lead. Watson is now nearly 5 seconds behind that 5 seconds behind Hawkins, let alone Nicola. So the gap between Fleet and de Bock is 2.5 seconds, so it is doable if de Bock can find find the handle around this track. He could still catch and pass Fleet, and that it would be critical for him to try and gain whatever points he can on Holm in this race. Holm still credited with fastest lap so far, a 1:22.1. McManus really the only person in the same postcode as that kind of lap time, and he's not really been challenging it on this stint. Oh goodness, there's a car slow on the main straightaway. Is that a... That's a Foxtail. That's Martin McFly! And the Koenigsegg motor has just caught fire, and yeah, that's it. That's it for McFly, and that's gonna be a third consecutive retirement. Not from the lead this time, but at one stage he looked like he could well be a title contender. That is very much not where this season has been going over the last few races over McFly. Riley Griffith is still actually pressuring Takuma Taki for 14 there. This is, I think this is very concerning if you're K1 right now. But yeah, Taki's now been lapped by Cameron and Gautier. Both cars are using the same engine as Taki, so this is very much a chassis and driver issue than an engine issue. So Taki just put it in 126.9, and Griffith was actually slower. So that saves Taki that ignominy, but yeah, not ideal that he's only got like after 44 laps of racing, he's got a margin of 1 second over Riley Griffith in the peak. So it has pulled a bit of a gap now on Yaël de Bock, about a second and a half since the pit stop, so de Bock's still not really comfortable enough to mount a challenge against Fleet. And that is McManus coming in to make his second and final scheduled pit stop of this race, just right at the 2/3 mark. He should be well positioned to maintain this lead through the pit stops here. Leads from his pit box is McManus. Okay, not able to hang on to the lead, but he's going to come out right behind Philippe Nicolas and Terry Hawkin. And ahead of Final Watson. Hawkin and Nicola, in fact, pitting together on the very next lap, and McManus will very easily retake the lead. I don't think there's really going to be any risk of Hawkin jumping ahead of Nicola. Lead service complete on Nicola. He's already gone before Hawkin has any opportunity to leave the pit. Archer comes through to move back up into third place, but still needs to make one more pit stop in this race. Ben Fleet here, and once again is gonna get in the way of Terry Hawkin. These two having quite a bit of a battle in the opening stint of this race. But yeah, any hopes of Hawkin jumping back ahead of Nicola looking very slim at this stage of the race. Watson now hitting. I don't think that's going to give him an advantage. Indeed, it doesn't over Hawkin, who's still trying to find a way past Ben Fleet here. Very late lunge there by Hawkin on Fleet. That's not going to work here. He's going to have to wait to have a go down the main straight here. Meanwhile, McManus's lead over Nicola is now effectively over 29 seconds, so definitely he's the winner through this pit cycle, for whatever that's worth. Hawken looking up the inside of Fleet into the first hairpin here. And it's pretty easy work there for Terry Hawken. It's not terribly far behind Nicola, but he's going to have to find something that he hasn't been able to so far this this race. Although the previous lap was 1:23.3, still slower than what Nicola's been able to do. I think Nicola's got enough in the tank here to be able to fend to keep Hawken at bay. But we'll see how things play out over these last 20 laps. McManus is, after that pit stop, he set a new personal best, but I don't think that's quite enough to take the fastest lap off of Edvard Holm. So Holm will be getting the 20-point bonus for fastest lap in this race, and that will be very much a saving grace for the Dane. It will avoid him losing too many more points to Yaël de Bock. And Yaël de Bock, I think, will just be thankful that he's not losing a huge amount of ground to Holm this late in the season. Cameron comes in for his final pit stop of the race. After a couple of retirements, it's been back to business as usual for Nathaniel Cameron, as we also see Li Kexing come in. I believe this will be Kexing's final pit stop as well. Oh goodness, a Yauncher! Oh my god, Marco Yauncher! He's kept the car running, but oh goodness, that is not great for Marco Yauncher. There's Li Kexing getting very much in the way here. But Yauncher putting himself in a very silly position there, similar to Gary Pacer early in this race. Fortunately, Yauncher did not hit the wall all that hard, so he should be able to keep the car running. But this is going to cost him a fair few positions. It's going to put him behind Yaël de Bock, which is music to the Belgians' ears, one would have to assume. Amy Gauthier coming out of her pit stop. I don't think she'll be able to jump ahead of Nathaniel Cameron, so the Brit should hang on to effectively 9th once Melissa Dawn makes his final pit stop of the race in a little bit of time. Nicola now back up into 2nd place. Terry Hawken is in 3rd. Bentley is 4th, but will probably, assuming Final Watson doesn't find a way past the Foxdale here, he'll be looking at 5th place. Which is still a pretty solid result for Fleet, but Probably not what they were hoping for, given his earlier pace in this race. Taki is jumped ahead of Saint Laurent, but I think, yeah, Taki still needs to make one more pit stop fairly soon. Hawkins, I think, is actually closing down the gap. In fact, he's taken 2 seconds out of Nicola on that previous lap. So come through to complete another lap. We'll see if that was just a product of being held up. It probably was a product of being held up by Li Kexing. 123.7 for Nicola, 123.7 for Hawkins. Once again, these drivers, very evenly matched. Fleet's still running out there, very late in his stint here. Should be pitting in the next 5 or 6 laps. And Marco Janser now down in 7th place. That's probably where he's going to finish now. Which isn't great, but I think it should very much put Euromotor right in the middle of the Constructors Championship battle, which feels ridiculous to be saying, considering this is the team that finished last 2 years in a row, but here we are, I guess. Well, that was a bit awkward. I think that's probably, well, no, I don't think... I thought it might have been because Zidane was coming into pit, but he wasn't. Riley Griffith is in fact making her final pit stop. Saint Laurent here, putting an overtake on his teammate here, trying to put an overtake on his teammate, as I think that is indeed Ben Fleet coming into the pits. So Ben Fleet making his final pit stop of the race. That was, a lot more riskier than it needed to be. Taki was coming into pit there, and, Saint Laurent trying to block his teammate from entering the pits for some reason. there might be a little bit of tension here between the two Bentley drivers. Nicola! The lead Nicola is pitting with a brake issue! Oh my goodness! It's a saving grace for Holiday that Nicola was able to bring it into the pits, but it's gonna cost him certainly a podium position here. To get the get that issue sorted out very quickly, but Nicola will be coming out behind Marco Jancher, although Jancher still needs to make that final pit stop, I do believe. Indeed he does. Nicola comes out ahead of Ben Fleet, so Nicola still on course for effectively 4th place at this stage. And incredibly, that's putting Scorpio on course for a 1-2 here. So McManus now has a 37-second lead over Terry Hawken in 2nd place. Final Watson is now in the final podium position, 4 seconds back of Hawken. Yaël de Bock is making his final pit stop here. I don't imagine he will be coming out ahead of Ben Fleet, much less the late Nicola as they're coming down the main straightaway now. Indeed, there goes Nicola through into 5th place, and here comes Ben Fleet, and he will take 6th place from de Bock. And de Bock now almost a full lap behind Michael McManus. That is probably going to make McManus feel pretty pleased with himself that he's effectively run a full lap quicker than over the course of this race than Yaël de Bock, the man who gave him a lot of trouble for that AR3 Fausta Championship last season. We've got Zidane and Dagnall making their final pit stops of the race here. So Hawken is losing a little bit of time here to find Watson, so Watson might be looking at a potential 2nd place here if he can close down the gap to Terry Hawken. Got Marco Jancher entering the pits for Jancher's final pit stop of the race. And I believe this should put him behind Nicola, Fleet, and de Bock. And there goes Yaël de Bock to move back up into 6th place. And the Euromotor is now looking at 7th and 8th, which not ideal finishing positions for them, but it could certainly be worse. They've got both of their cars still running at the finish. That's more than a lot of other teams could be saying at this stage. Now, can Final Watson get a good run off of the slipstream of Tumataki here? I believe he can, yes, and won't be losing any time lapping past the Bentley. That's a pretty quick lap from Watson in the Simpson. 1:23.6, another half a second quicker than Terry Hawken. It is looking like game on for second place in these closing laps between Hawken and Watson, as we potentially have a all-British podium by the looks of it. I can't remember the last time that would have happened, but with Nicola now 26 seconds behind Watson, if these three, well, I mean, short of a breakdown in one of these leading Prix cars, it is looking like it's going to be three British drivers on the podium here at Fuji Speedway for the Yamanaka-Ko Grand Prix. On 24.1 for Hawken on that previous lap. Watson takes another 4/10 out of the Scorpio. That gap under 2.5 seconds. Watson set to catch Hawken with about 3 or 4 laps to go in the race. This is looking like it's probably going to be the only real battle we're seeing on track in these closing laps. As you can see, that Simpson getting ever bigger off the tail of Terry Hawken. So coming through to start lap 63. It's going to be 9 laps to go. Hawken loses another half second. The gap now under 2 seconds. Watson is doing everything he has to do to break up the Scorpio 1-2 here. He just needs to be able to he just needs to be able to pass Hawken once he catches the 2018 champion. But it's been a very strong race here for Final Watson, and definitely a bit of a highlight for Simpson, given their lead driver's earlier retirement, Edvard Holm, of course. I think Watson now starting to hit the dirty air off of the back of Hawken's Scorpio, the wake off of all the aerodynamics on that car, but he's still quicker by about 3/10 on that previous lap. We got just over 1.5 seconds as the laps continue to tick away here. McManus is 40 seconds up the road here. He can practically cruise home. And behind them, it's 25 seconds to Philippe Nicolas. So these two are really only concerned with each other at this stage of the race, fighting it out between them to figure out who finishes second and who finishes third in this race. You can see Watson catching Hawken every single corner, every single lap. That's another quarter second that Watson's taken out of Hawken. They got 1.3 seconds now. Watson's starting to run out a little bit of tires here. I don't think Hawken's tires are in much better shape either. It could very well come down to the wire in this battle for second. So that is the conclusion of lap 65. And that's another couple attempts that Watson's taken out of Hawken. Just over a second separates the two drivers now. As every lap, Watson bleeds away more tire advantage over Hawken. He's done a pretty solid job to close the gap this much, but he's gonna need to find just a little bit more if he wants to get onto the back of the Scorpio and get a good enough run to be able to take that second place off of the former champion. But this is regardless of how it turns out, this is going to be a very heartening ride for Final Watson, who, after a pretty solid rookie season, found himself off the grid, of course, to start this season, following the closure of March 16. And you can see here, I think Watson is now very much in the toe of Terry Hawken, proving that he belongs on this ARWS grid. That the Simpson team were very much right to be giving him a 2-year contract to continue to drive this car alongside Edvard Holm in the other Simpson. He's brought the gap to under a second, and they are closing now quite a bit on Amy Gauthier in the checkmate. This could very well have an impact depending on where and when they catch Gauthier. This is still not quite close enough, but he's very much filling up the mirrors of that Scorpio. Terry Hawken gonna have to use every bit of experience, every tool in his toolkit, if he wants to hang on to second and secure the 1-2 for Scorpio. It definitely looks like right here at the tail of the, in the final sector of the lap, that's where Hawken has the most trouble getting around the corners. And that's very much where Watson seems to be picking up probably the most time, but Hawken here getting a bit of a slipstream off of Amy Gauthier, gets around the checkmate. Watson's gonna try and dive up the inside of Gautier, but not close enough. And there was a little bit of savvy racecraft there by Hawkin to put that lap car between himself and final Watson. Watson still not able to find a way around Gautier yet, not able to find a safe place to lap this car, but unfortunately for Terry Hawkin, he's stuck behind Li Ka-shing in the Yangguang, able to find a way around the outside there, coming out of the hairpin. Watson diving up the inside. He's been able to get past both Ka-shing and Gautier here through the second sector into the Dunlop chicane, but the damage, I believe, is done. He has lost several car lengths to Terry Hawkin, and that might just cost him any chance of catching and passing Terry Hawkin for second place. He's going to have to hope he gets an excellent exit from this hairpin, but he's not close enough to stay in the toe of Hawkins' Scorpio. Come through as we watch them come across the line one more time to start lap 69. A 125 for Hawkin and a 125.7 for Watson. That gap has ballooned back out to 1.3 seconds. That might just be curtains on Watson's hopes of taking second place here. Although we do still have two more cars potentially that could affect this battle. Nathaniel Cameron and Pierre Saint-Laurent not battling for position, but Cameron looking to put a lap on Saint-Laurent, and indeed he does, keeping a very healthy margin over Gautier in that battle for 9th. Come through to start the penultimate lap. I think final Watson has taken a fair bit of the gap out of Terry Hawkin, but I'm not sure it's going to be close enough to make a move here. He's not quite in the slipstream, but Hawkin this time is not going to be able to put a lap car between them to start this lap. Watson's taken 4/10 out of Hawkin, but just a little under 2 laps to go. I'm not sure he's going to be able to have the time to find a way back past Hawkin. Well, to find a way past Hawkin, even if he can catch him. Meanwhile, all up front, it is clear sailing as ever for Michael McManus, who's just been chugging along absolutely flawlessly all race long. Starts the final lap of the race with a 42.7 second margin over Hawkin, who's still fighting everything he's got to hold on to second for Watson. Watson's had a great opening to this lap. He's back on the tail of the Scorpio. He might have a shot here into the first corner as Hawkin goes wide, trying to find a way around Pierre Saint-Laurent. He's caught the Bentley at the worst possible time. Watson is all over the back of Hawkin, but cannot find a way. He gets a face full of Bentley as soon as he pulls out to try and make the move. And that might just give Hawkin the reprieve he needs to hang on to second place here. Watson will not be able to make the move into the first corner. It's gonna have to be a wait until the Dunlop chicane, I do believe, if Watson's gonna be able to make this move, but he's not quite close enough. If he can take advantage of the better grip of the Simpson through these next couple of corners, he might have a shot at it. Meanwhile, coming out of the final corner, it is Michael McManus, who has absolutely dominated this race since the drop of the green flag. Almost lost the lead on the run down to turn 1, but he did a fantastic job to hang on to it and has won the Yamanaka-Ko Grand Prix, his second ever start. The battle for second, it is looking very good for Terry Hawkin. He's able to just hang on to it from Final Watson through these final couple of corners. Watson's gonna have to put, if Watson's gonna make this move, he's gotta do it now. He's gotta be able to get enough of a run to beat out Hawkin to the line coming out of the final corner. He does not get enough. Maybe a little bit of wheel spin for the Simpson. And Terry Hawkin will bring it home. A 1-2 for Scorpio. Watson completes the podium in third. Now we wait for the rest of the field to come through. Nathaniel Cameron and Amy Gauthier will finish 9th and 10th. Philippe Nicolas probably will feel he should have been finishing second in this race, but a brake issue means, and an extra pit stop means he winds up fourth. Li Kexing manages to complete the race, at least. That's about the most you can say for him, is Ben Fleet just rams into the back of Malik Zidane for some reason. He finished fifth, but not sure what that was all about. Yaël de Bock winds up with the points for sixth, and he closes in a little bit on Edvard Holm in the championship. So our race results, it is McManus with a 45-second win over his former champion teammate Terry Hawkin. Final Watson winds up third, as mentioned, with Nicolas, Fleet, and De Bock, the rest of the lead lap cars. Both of the Euromotors wind up a lap down, but the points for 7th and 8th for Yoncher and Dagnall, respectively, should keep them in the fight for the Constructors Championship. Nathaniel Cameron and Amy Gauthier rounding out the top 10, with Malik Zidane 11th. Terrible race for Bentley. They just had absolutely no pace all day long. They finished 12th and 13th, but managed to at least fend off, I suppose, Riley Griffith in the peak, who brings it home in 14th. Her return from injury looking none the worse for wear. And Li Kexing, after getting in the way pretty much all race, but at least not making any particular mistakes of his own, kept it running the right way. Although I suppose there was the opening lap where he misjudged the braking and caused a bit of a pile up, but not entirely on him. Yamamoto had their part to play in that, as well as Solorant, to be fair. Retirement, it's another retirement for Martin McFry, Tomo Kaza, Edvard Holm, and Gary Pacer, all very, very disappointed, as are, I believe, Malish, May, and Burrell. Summers as well could have had a pretty solid run in this one. Kara might have had something for the Bentleys if it wasn't for his transmission breaking down either. Fastest lap of the race, it does go the way of Edvard Holm, with Michael McManus picking up the points for his second quickest lap, and Final Watson with the third fastest lap. And that is it for this year's running of the Yamanaka-Ko Grand Prix from the Fuji Speedway. We will see you very soon for the Japanese Grand Prix from the Okayama circuit. So we'll see you there.